Alaska, the last frontier. With breathtaking landscape and treacherous geography, Alaska offers challenging ministry.
Alaska is the largest state in the Union, and the villages that we go to, they're spread out. Most of the villages aren't on the road system.
370 villages in this incredibly large state, very vast, very massive geographically, and 231 federally recognized tribes.
Of the 370 Alaskan villages, only a small fraction have any Christian influence. Diverse with culture, Alaska's 231 distinctive dialects make up its indigenous complexity.
Culture is about a way of people.
I enjoyed hunting the animals and catching the fish, with a net.
The way of their life, their values.
We connect with the land through that food,
My Inupiaq name, it means little big man.
I am originally from Barrow, Alaska, and I am half Inupiaq Eskimo.
I was born in Nunivak Island, a village called Makoriak.
In Minto, you have to haul your own oil, go out in the forest, haul wood, cut down trees, do all that stuff manually.
And I grew up in Shaktoolik, that's Norton Sound, east of Nome.
The village is a very difficult place to live.
Addictions of various types, whether it be substance or behavior, on and on.
The spirit of hopelessness that is on the land is very heavy.
I was bound with alcohol, bound with marijuana. I've experienced what it is to be hopeless.
A lot of my family members and people close to me are struggling with alcoholism and drug use.
I've seen elder abuse, people coming home from drinking with someone, and they get in as soon as they go home, their elderly mother or grandparents, which would be like 90 years old, go move to another elder's house where they're not drinking.
There's a lot of wounds on our land. A lot of our people have been wounded for years, and those wounds get passed down from generation to generation. Where is it going to stop?
I want to see freedom. I want to see restoration in families, where they're back together, not where the kids are in some group home, parents are in jail.
There are a lot of fatherless children in the village, and that's bad, Some of their parents died from alcohol, so they're left alone.
Having been ministering in and out of the village for years now, and seeing the hurt and the loss and the hopelessness and the suicide happen on a daily basis in these villages.
Like my son, he was 14 years old and he committed suicide. It still affects me to this day because I want to believe that he was just a young boy, a child in God's eyes, and that he didn't know any better.
A people without hope have no reason to live.
State troopers have responded to a disturbing number of suicides in Northwest Alaska since the beginning of the month.
Suicide in Alaska is 5 times the national average.
We have per capita the highest teen suicide rate in the world.
The headlines in the newspaper was talking about the suicides of our native kids out in the villages. And it's heartbreaking because we hardly hear about it, but it happens in a huge way.
When I was in Fort Yukon, we lost half of our graduating senior class to suicide.
They decide to commit suicide to just end it all.
I was talking to this girl, and she was one of the passengers that I fly a lot. I can recall feeling kind of empty talking to her, like I just felt like something was wrong, but I couldn't really pinpoint it. But what's sad about it is the next day she committed suicide.
Some of the reasons why people deal with suicide is because they lost their identity. They don't know who they are. And there's this big void inside of them that they try to fill with alcohol, with drugs, with different things. They try different things, and they never seem to find what will fulfill that void inside of them. They do not know that that void was meant to be fulfilled by God.
Talking with the young people, they talk about suicide as if it's an everyday thing, like they're numb to it, like they've seen it happen so many times in their family and to their friends that it's just become normal to them.
I struggled for a long time with suicide, and one day I decided that I'm gonna do it.
It seems like once someone gives into that spirit of suicide, it just seems like that spirit becomes stronger in Alaska.
And I put a bullet in that rifle, and then I put it under my chin, and I started putting pressure on the trigger.
There's no other state in the Union that can say that they have such a mortality rate in their teenagers.
My uncle committed suicide, and that was hard for me, but I didn't really realize the extent of the epidemic of suicide across Alaska.
I fell in love with a girl. She committed suicide while she was drunk, and that just tore me up inside. It hurts even more to know that she didn't have the opportunity to know who God was. You know, this has to stop.
I really believe it's a spiritual condition and that Jesus can give hope to those that are struggling with that.
There is only one answer. Jesus is the hope for Alaska. This spiritual condition of Alaska's indigenous people can only be healed through the power of the cross. This Generation Ministries is passionately reaching the indigenous people of Alaska.
With every one of those distinctive and different cultures, there's one answer to their pain. There's one answer to their hardship. There's one answer to all of their hopelessness, and that's the hope of Jesus, the story of the cross, the salvation, the freedom, the healing that takes place through Jesus Christ.
That's why we've chosen to work with This Generation Ministries. They have a heart and dream to see Native people reached and discipled with the hope of Jesus Christ. It's amazing how many invitations they'll get to villages where they haven't been yet, because in the circle of talk in the Alaska village, people have heard about Pastor Ron and these group of young people that really love people. And I'm just proud to be part of that.
They've changed my life, you know, and I don't know where I'd be right now if they didn't come and help me, talk to me, help me through the rough times, rough patches of my life.
I really desire for this ministry to go on, because as it grows, it's gonna stop more and more suicides, and maybe one day Alaska will not be known for its high rate of suicide.
And as far as This Generation Ministries, you know, I really want them to continue it, you know. How important it is that we have people like Pastor Ron and Keely and the others come down and help us with our kids.
Going under Pastor Ron's ministry and being discipled by his team was an awesome experience.
I think that with TGM, that people will be able to just really feel the connection that I had. It's so good to have this type of relationship.
And we use all sorts of tools when we go into the villages, whether it's the band or stomp or dance or human videos. TGM is all about using tools that will reach this generation.
We've put our full backing and support and efforts behind TGM, and we're proud and glad to work with This Generation Ministries because we believe in what they're doing. We see what they're doing, and it's been so vital to the ministry here in Fort Yukon.
And I'm blessed to be a part of it. I'm thankful that God pulled me out of where I was and planted me here. And so I'm just excited of what God's doing with TGM and where we're headed.
Once they go out and they begin to minister, it just opens wonderful doors in the ministry that we're talking about with Pastor Ron and the work that he's doing.
I want to be that one who can walk alongside a group of young people and say, you know, this is how you overcome. I want to I want God to use me to help give them the tools so that they can stand firm in their faith and that they can go out and do what God has called them to do.
This Generation Ministries wants to raise up Indigenous people to go out and reach Indigenous people. It's going to continue its ministry now in its second decade of experience ministering to the Native Alaskan, taking teams, whether it's on an airplane or a boat, or whether you're walking in the snow or driving on the road system. We're going to continue to take teams and go into these remote bush communities and minister in relevant ways the life of Christ.
Outreach in Alaska is necessary. We need to keep doing it.
The last event we went to when his team came there, I just couldn't help from weeping. And I seen these outstanding Native kids that have been going to school and being trained up to be ministers. And I'll fight for that.
So it's awesome to see how God really is using TGM to pull out Native young people in Alaska and disciple them, train them up so that they can go back to their region and make a difference for Jesus.
When you're raising these kids up that come from these little villages and stuff, we have to be very creative. It's very expensive in a lot of ways, and
you have to either fly in or boat into the villages, and so that's expensive.
The remoteness and the expense and the darkness that is out there that we have to face just to go and reach those people is quite a hurdle, and if an individual or if a ministries can figure out how to do that, that's huge.
Logistically speaking, the river makes so much sense. To get people on an airplane and go from Fairbanks and fly into Fort Yukon and fly into Beaver and fly into village to village would be astronomically more expensive than to get a boat team together and travel downriver.
Pastor Ron brought out his team to my village. They had a genuine passion for God.
The ministry TGM definitely is worth investing into because if it wasn't for Pastor Ron and his team to come to my village, I would still be, what I was.
I went through such dramatic change. I went from being a predator to being a protector.
If you want to invest in TGM, well, I encourage you, this is a worthwhile investment, and it's an investment that is going to last for eternity because our goal at TGM is to change lives for eternity.
The decision has to be made. Are we going to invest?
I highly encourage that you support this ministry because you will be investing into lives such as mine and many others.
We ask that you would join with us and become partners, that you would invest into lives here in Alaska.